All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Magic Talk. My name is James Lantine, and we are joined, as always, with Joshua. But we can't ever say that about Greg.
No,
Can't say as always,
no.
but that's okay.
He's with us in spirit.
He is. We miss him. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about, is it okay to steal my lines? When is it okay to steal my lines?
Yours specifically?
Well, not mine specifically, but anybody's. When is it okay to go in and take somebody else's patter and use it for a magic effect?
I thought you were just worried about yourself.
Well, we could talk about it just as in reference to me, but we could broaden it and pretend that there are the rest of the people in the world.
That's fair.
Okay. We'll be right back right after this.
The art of magic is mystery, majesty, pageantry, and craft. It's also about history, marketing, networking, and more. All of these topics and others are discussed on Magic Talk with your hosts, renowned magician James Lantine and owner of the White Rabbit Magic Shop, Joshua Lantine, now on Rough Edge FM.
All right, I am getting accustomed to this new board, so hopefully my engineering improves.
What's wrong with it? You could hear your grunts and groans into the microphone as the intro was happening.
Was I grunting and groaning? Oh.
Did that come through?
All right, so I'm not getting accustomed to the new board because I didn't put mute on the mics, but that's okay. So we do have a new board. Do not adjust your dial, though. The sound of my voice is in fact sick. It is not a special effect that I put on the mic. So
yeah, the whole raspy type of voice that some
like somebody would create an effect so that you could have that as your voice.
Yeah, some people find that alluring, and
well, it would be a good voice to have if you're calling your boss. Put one of those things. Hey, Bob, I'm not gonna be able to come in tonight because I'm not feeling well. So
that's. I heard you say that just now, a couple of minutes ago.
What?
You put it on for Bob.
Was I?
Yeah, your boss.
Oh. I wasn't putting it on. I am sick. Hey, before we get started, I just want to talk about something a little personal.
Okay.
No, it's not like EV or anything like that. We're not going to get that personal.
Okay.
So, no, I've been thinking a lot lately. So, there are so many things that I want to be doing. It's like, for example, I want to really come up with this cool concept of the cups and balls using 4 cups and doing a baseball theme.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do all of this special promotion stuff for our store.
Mm-hmm.
We want to organize the store. We want to go through the inventory and make sure that everything is up to date. I want to be able to create content videos so that we're posting up and, getting more social media awareness. And I want to design all these exclusive products that we have ideas for.
Mm-hmm.
I want to clean the office and organize it. And so there's all these things that I put on myself that it's just like, I want to rehearse more. I want to really polish that 4-cup routine. I want to, work on this for my show. And we always seem to fall short.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of that was a long list for just 2 people. Forget one person.
Yeah.
Those seemed rather extensive, actually.
Yeah, and I'm sure they are. Some of them more than others, but it's like, I have this expectation of myself and how I want, how I expect to perform and everything like that when I do things. And I always seem to fall short of those expectations. And I sometimes wonder, it's like, am I putting way too much stress on myself? Am I Am I setting the bar way too high, or should I set the bar high because that's what makes you, strive to become better? Or are you constantly feeling down about yourself because you're failing? You're always falling short.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't want to look at things and go, well, forget it. This is too impossible to achieve. So I'm just going to settle for mediocre.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of settling, but I get it. This is a whole nother topic.
I know it's a whole nother topic. Where's John? I need my therapy session. So listen up, Santa Paula. Anyway, we have all these grand ideas. We want to be able to put on this. We want to create this national club called the Magic Warren,
Mm-hmm.
and where we have content and things like that. We want to be able to do like a one-day kind of convention, or maybe a film festival style magic convention for lay people. We have all these ideas for effects. There's so much on the table that we want to try to achieve, and yet we are just two people.
Mm-hmm. It's like a whole team that's to get it all done. I think in a reasonable amount of time, you need like a whole team for that.
Yeah, I will say,
I can imagine I can't say it's impossible to get it all done as two people, but it's going to take a heck of a lot longer. Because the one thing you're talking about is you're looking at it as oh my God, look at this table of crap we got to do. And then it's not going and just taking one thing and doing that one thing, and then taking another thing and doing that one other thing, and then taking another thing, which is probably, as far as a two-person team, is what you really need to do in order to get it done. And in any good amount of quality, which I get it, especially when there's.
I do tend to look at that table and go, "Yeah, screw it."
Yeah, it's intimidating. It's a lot of stuff,
and then I don't pull anything off the table.
Well, it's intimidating. It's a lot of stuff.
It is.
I get it.
It is.
What the heck, look at it's like trying to clean your room as a teenager. Like, clean your room. I'm like, oh God, do I have to?
Yeah. Now I could just pick up one thing and start, but
you could.
It's too intimidating, so you go down and play video games instead.
That's Well, hold on. That was actually several times. I can't say that's a lie.
Yeah. So, one of the things so we have our Magic Burrow coming up this Sunday, and one of the effects that we're going to be raffling off and we're going to be showing, which we don't, how would I say it? We haven't actually looked at the effect yet. We've seen the demos on the effect.
I have it downloaded.
And so on Sunday, our goal is to have looked at the effect and be able to actually present the effect, we will then come back next week and give our opinion on the actual effect itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you haven't had an opportunity to yet, I have it up. I'm going to put it right here on screen. Wrong screen. There we go. It is called Algorithm, and it's actually a download. You can get a physical product, which I don't know why you would. Just go get the download.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's all a licensing deal.
Yeah. But you can download it. And it's this phone effect, but it doesn't actually look like it's using. So the way they describe it is that you can use any deck and any phone to accomplish all these things.
Any deck, any phone, and the deck can be shuffled.
Yes.
By the spectator.
Yes.
Not by the magician.
Right.
And the whole, from what I saw on the download, you could, or the demo, it's a whole 5-phase routine where you can claim to win any game that is played in the Las Vegas casinos. So you can win any hand, or know what to bet, when to bet any hand in blackjack.
because
No.
this phone performs an algorithm.
Yeah. It's basically the phone is Rain Man, and you're able to go and perform these miracles. And at the very end of it, it goes and tells you the order of every single card.
Right.
At the last phase of it all, apparently you can have it say, okay, let's go from the very bottom or from the very top of the deck, from the face. It tells you what card it is, then the next card, then the next card, then the next card, then the next card. And the next thing about it, this makes it sound really cool, is it can be all hands off. The phone can be in the spectator's hands. The deck can be in the spectator's hands the entire time, and you don't have to do a darn thing.
So we're going to take a look at it.
Yeah, it sounds and looks like a freaking miracle. I just got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll take a look at it, and we'll report back on it. But in the meantime, you can take a look at Algorithm and look up the download. We're gonna have it on our computer.
Yeah.
On our store.
Yeah. Actually, it should be up right now.
Okay, so you can look at it. Go to wr-magic.com, take a look at Algorithm, and you can watch the video on it. It does look pretty cool, but we're going to actually take it for a little test drive, and we'll let you know what we think. And if you come to the borough, we're going to be doing a raffle. Somebody can win one of those items. So
Greg Wilson goes and does the demo too. So anything that he does tends to be pretty up there as far as quality.
Yeah, let's talk about demos for a second before we get on. One of the things that I've been noticing is there's kind of two forms of demos that are floating out there right now.
Yeah.
One is the whole movie trailer hype, blah, 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 which seems to come from a lot of the overseas manufacturers.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with things like Big Blind Media or KMR, or there is actually Tora kind of shows you a performance.
Tora does show you a performance.
Yeah.
But these are like movie theater style kind of hype. And
it's like watching the trailers for the movies at the beginning of the movie.
Right. And I don't know about you, but I'm personally against that. I feel like it's a lot of fluff, and it's a lot of stuff being thrown at me to try to make me, to sell me on the pretty polka dotted,
get you excited,
whatever. Yeah.
And
it's like, the effect itself should be what gets me excited, not all the hype that's put around it. And it's like, go for the glittery.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we've been trying to do with our videos is display it in two modes. One is kind of a demo walkthrough. So you're not necessarily doing it as a presentation. You're explaining that. So you have your spectator pick a card. They do this, they do that. This happens, blah, 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 blah. And you kind of give them, and then you give them a full performance so that they can see. Josh, your camera froze again.
No. Well, I mean, I feel like it's a good way, because it's kind of the best of both worlds in that regard, because you can have the hype and you can have everything, but then you're able to look at the trick and you're able to see, hey, here's a preview as to what it is that you're looking at. I've noticed that's becoming more popular, especially with our big distributor Murphy's. I'm noticing a lot of their tricks in particular are like that, where the download or the demo is, flashy shot, reaction, and then it's like, here, watch it live, and then they have a live performance of said trick at the very, like, in the middle or at the end of it.
Right.
And then it's like, buy now, download, whatever.
Yeah.
But I noticed that is taking more popularity for a lot of creators.
Yeah, I don't know why that just doesn't sell to me.
With starting the whole flash, and then do the
where it's like, well, I guess when it's more that movie trailer style thing that bothers me. Where it's it sounds like the Romans are coming and marching and ready to go take over your city, and it's like, dude, it's a card trick.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to get excited about it. I know you don't like card magic. But
No,
come
it's not
on.
even that. I don't know. So we'll have that debate on another day, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds like again another topic that
Yeah.
we could go over.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I want to talk about, there's a lot of debate going on about. We had a magician on, I think last week or the week before, who was saying that he was performing at the castle, and next door to him was another magician, and he actually performed two of his effects one after the other. That he used his script and everything verbatim. And he could hear him in the next room, and he's like, wait a minute, that's my script. And so he was kind of like, what the heck? Why, dude, what'd you do and copy, exactly my whole script?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's always this debate about when is it okay? I mean, back in the older days, when you bought a magic effect, it was all by paper.
Mm-hmm.
And every effect had a pattern to it. So it was like, okay, here's how the trick works, and here's how you present it.
Mm-hmm.
So every magician who bought Professor's Nightmare was performing Professor's Nightmare the same way, using the same dialogue. Everybody who brought the Stratosphere was performing the Stratosphere the same way, using the same dialogue. Everybody who bought Fraidy Cat Rabbit or Run Rabbit Run or whatever it might be, they were using the same effect and the same dialogue. And at some point, it's like, as a magician, you go, man, if I watch somebody do this one more time, I'm gonna puke.
Mm-hmm.
As a layperson, obviously for them, it's probably the first time or maybe the second time they've ever seen it, so it's not like it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But as far as like my take on it is, if somebody sells a magic effect to you, so you're buying a trick, and in that trick, they give you the pattern as to how to do the presentation, then you, by all given rights, have given that person permission to say, you bought my trick, here's the pattern to use with it.
Mm-hmm.
So perform it exactly the same way, and use exactly the same words and everything about it, because I'm selling it to you with my trick.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, you can be like 98% of all the other magicians who are going to buy that effect, and they are going to perform it the exact same way. Or you can rise above and come up with your own routine and your own pattern that goes along with the effect, making it unique to you, which at that point is not okay for somebody to steal.
All right, so yeah, when you're talking about it in that sense, and somebody has in that regard given you permission to use those lines and to use those jokes or whatever the heck they might be.
Yeah, they're selling them with the effect.
Yeah. So on a moral standpoint, I suppose in reality, magicians again are left to police themselves with all of this stuff, because there's no real thing saying that by law you cannot do this because it is by law mine.
Right.
Unless you're probably David Copperfield, and then you've got it all patented to some extent,
copyrighted or
copywritten, and all of his lines and whatnot, which he doesn't really say much. He has stories, but he doesn't say much after that. It's a lot of his stuff is silent. But anyway, it's like that. You cannot do his things because he's gone the legal route, and he's found a way to go and do that.
Right.
Most people probably not. You mean, when they, for example, with the magician you were talking about, he probably doesn't have his tricks and his whole set put down to where it's like, hey, this is mine, don't touch it. Though I have noticed when I purchase some new things or get some new things in the shop, there's been magicians who've tried to say that. Like there's some downloads from Shin Lim specifically, or from another. There's another magician who has that disclaimer saying you are not allowed to perform this in, on TV or on online, or perform the magic tricks you just purchased because it's mine, basically.
Right. Well, yeah.
That I don't know the legitimacy behind all of that, if it's just kind of a threat or if it's actually a deal. But
that to me is going a little bit too far. It's like, okay, you're selling me an effect. So what you're basically doing is you're saying, hey, I will teach you how I did everything just so that you know, but you can't perform it.
Yeah.
So you're buying me to tell you the secret.
Now, I mean, I kind of feel, or what you just explained with the castle, that I feel like is really wrong. Because that's like, especially if you know that this is somebody else's thing and that they're there and they're going to be performing that day.
I don't know that he knew
that
they were there.
But even still, it's kind of like, dude, come on.
And I mean, the thing, let's face it, there's not a single individual that is that creative.
Yeah.
That they are the only ones who can conceivably come up with that concept or that joke. Like I do,
original.
Huh?
I thought it was pretty original.
Well, things like what I do with the shackles.
Yeah.
I mean, they're unique to me, but I can't say that I'm the only one. Like when I get locked up and I say, a lot of people ask me how I got involved in magic. Well, my dad was an escape artist. I mean, how cool is that? My dad was an escape artist. That's what my mom told me when I found these. Now, I came up with that. But if I saw somebody else doing that, would I say that they stole it? Or
I'd be hard pressed to believe.
Is there somebody else who just came up with, the same general idea?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, it's different, but it's not like it's so out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Robin Williams comes up with stuff, and there's probably not another mind in the world that thinks the way he does. And, it's pretty darn unique.
It's pretty darn unique. But then even still, it's like there's I've heard his jokes. He's not reinventing the wheel with some of these jokes. They're pretty standard dad jokes that he's saying, but he's putting his own flair into it.
Yeah.
Like with you, that's a pretty standard dad joke right there. I mean, anybody who takes their dad role seriously, I mean, that's like in their bones. You can go and they can dish any stuff like that out,
right?
Left and right. It's the same one where you're sitting there and you go, okay, now check everything out. Well, hold on, not everything.
Yeah,
it's like this. You hear it and it's funny, but you see, it's like, oh, I've heard that before, and it's even if it's the first time, it's one of those types of dad jokes.
Right. So I mean, it's not like it's so terribly unique that it could be something like where if somebody else happened to say something like that you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. You're not changing any lives.
Yeah.
Alliance.
And I mean, there's been stories about famous comedians who've taken other people's jokes that aren't that famous.
Yeah.
They see it, they take it and they adopt it and they turn it into their own. But I do think like the thing of there are a lot of professional magicians who spend a lot of time developing their routine, developing their character, their style. And when you see a magician go back in and they go to watch the show and they actually got a notebook going, oh, that's a really funny line, and they write it down, or oh, I like that joke, and they write it down. Now you can tell if a joke has been kind of taken and passed down from generation to generation. I can't think of one offhand, but it's like the joke of well,
it'll come to you.
Yeah, it will.
But I get that too. I mean, I guess the one thing that I'm not okay with is I'm okay with sharing, as we've talked about in the past. I'm like, if it's somebody who says, "Oh yeah, use that if you want to," that's fine in my book. Or getting inspiration. That's another thing where I'm like, oh, that's okay, because you're getting inspiration. It's giving you thoughts and ideas, and obviously, like what you were saying, there's practically no originality anymore. The wheel has been invented, and people just keep going and reiterating the wheel.
Right.
But I suppose I'm not okay with deliberate plagiarism.
Right.
That's right. That's not cool. That's because then, like what you were talking about, that's somebody else's hard work that they put, all their blood, sweat, and tears into, and then here you are just saying, "Oh, that's really good. I'm going to take that."
Well, and it's also, it's something that they develop that matches their personality, and sometimes you're trying to take a round peg and putting it into a square hole because you don't match that personality,
which does work. The other way, maybe not, but you can put a round peg into a square hole. It doesn't fit, but it kind of fits.
All right.
What? I'm just covering all the bases.
I know. I gotcha.
They have a funny TikTok out there where it's somebody who has tremendous anxiety who's looking at one of these baby toys where it's like, okay, it's all the ones with the shapes, and you got to put the shapes into the specific holes, and it says, okay, so I have right here a square. Where does the square go into? The square hole. And it's like, yeah, that's right, the square hole. And then it's like, okay, now I have a circle, a circle shape. Where does that go into? They say circle. That's right, the square hole. And then they say, now I've got. And they're like, what? No. And then it goes, well, okay, I got a triangle now. Where does the triangle go? And they say the triangle. And it says, that's right, the square hole. And then it's like, no, it's not right. It's like, okay, now what about this shape? And it looks like a bridge. And they say, where does this go? And they say, in the bridge. And it's like, yeah, that's right, the square hole. And they just keep fitting all these shapes into the square hole. And this person on the other end that they stitch the thing, and they're like, it's not how it's supposed to go. They just have a meltdown, panic attack. Now that's kind of clever. In that sense, I would be okay with it. But the plagiarism, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
that's
totally
only based off of the example that you just gave me, because it reminded me of that one instance.
Well, I think of a lot of effects, like the Color Monty.
Yeah,
has the pattern in it.
Yeah,
and
you have it's. I mean, I noticed the way you do it. It's similar, but it's
adapted to me.
Yeah, it's your story. The one problem with something like the Colored Monty is it has a phase to it that leads way to the particular wordage that you're using.
Right.
It's all about a bet. Hey, you get this one. Oh, nope, that's $1. Oh, that's $2. It's $3, and blah 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 until the final ending, which is the kicker. If you don't do it that way, the kicker looks stupid. Because why in the heck do you have a card that says $14 on it?
Right.
So there's some tricks I feel like you have to say some things. You have to present it a certain way, or else it sounds stupid.
All right. So what do we have for?
Well, we've got a trick that I want to bring in. I actually wanted to go down the rabbit hole today.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the item of the week, but we're in the rabbit hole.
Okay.
All right. So you do that, and while you're doing that, I will be.
We also have some things that are in pre-sale right now that I wanted to make note of that are pretty cool.
Okay. I will be right back.
Is it good? Should I buy it? Does it suck? Did I get ripped off? Is it more of a craft project than a magic trick? These questions and more answered now on the Magic Item of the Week here on Magic Talk.
All right, so the magic item of the week that I picked out of the rabbit hole is actually Mastermind. Now, the Mastermind is a card trick that is like a forcing deck. But the nice thing about this one is it is a forcing deck that you can show as being a ordinary deck of cards. Let me make sure this is the right way. excuse me. Yes, you can go and show that all these cards are ordinary in the mastermind. And showing it, doing a fan or doing whatever, showing every single card as being a different card. And then when you have the cards spread out and selected, they can go and look at the card, and this is the card that they end up seeing. And you have another prediction card that also matches said card. Now, this card, this particular trick it's more of a utility in this regard, kind of like a one-way forcing deck, except it just has that extra bit to it that as a convincer. Now, actually, there's a couple of tricks that have this same principle in it. And one of them actually being the trick that was on it was on Penn and Teller Fool Us, where it was with the 3 of diamonds, and then you had this whole process of having the 3 of hearts, I believe was what it was. You had the 3 of hearts selected, and then you had the fact deck is what it's called. It's fully automatic card trick. And it used cards just like this in order to achieve the end result with the effect. And I was at the very beginning. And I really like this one because of the cleverness of the gimmick, showing that all the cards are different. And it's very convincing when you're looking at it too. And then also being able to have any card forced, because it's very, very fair looking. And it's not only just the 2 of clubs. It could be a number of different cards. I think they've got a 3 of hearts. I think they've got an ace of hearts or an ace of diamonds. Any type of ace because of the centralized pip and everything like that. This one in particular is $32, and I would recommend something like this, especially if you're doing anything that requires a one-way forcing deck, because it's got a lot more convincing utility behind it. And it's if you're ever wondering, oh man, I'm afraid of showing every single card being the same, then you have the perfect out for it, because now you can show every card being different. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. It is good. It does not suck. You should buy it. This is the Mastermind by Chris Kensworthy. Kensworthy, yeah.
That one's kind of an oldie but goodie.
Oh yes, it is.
So, okay. I just wanted to give this as an example.
Okay.
So, when you buy a magic effect, in a lot of cases, this is how they typically come. So this is a trick called Badlands Bob, which I really enjoy. And the effect is broken down into a couple of things. One is it will give you the effect. So it kind of tells you that, hey, here's what happens. You display a wooden box. The box is sealed with a white die inside. There are 6 spots clearly shown through the window. The spectators given an opportunity to try to change. They can't change it. Performer asks for a number between 1 and 6. And whatever number they choose is the number that ends up being turned in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So then it gives you the method. So it explains, here's how this trick is working. And then in a lot of cases, they give you the pattern presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy this trick, it literally gives you the quotes and says, nowhere was the Wild West wilder during the early 19th century than Smoke, Montana, a now defunct town that existed some 60 miles within riding distance of Wolf Point, Montana. And the wildest hombre of them all was Badlands Bob.
It's one of those Spanish words that's you don't pronounce your H's.
Okay. A gambler to whom life was worth whatever happened to be in the gambling. I got a staple in it. In the gambling pot, sitting in the middle of the gambling table. Legend has it that Badlands Bob met his end one evening when the cards and dice had turned against him, and in a desperate attempt to save the moment, he literally bet his life on a roll of a single die. "Put up an extra $1,000, said Bob, then pick a number. If I roll it, I win all the money. If I don't, you can name your prize." "You got nothing left," said Three Finger Sam. "So if you lose, it's your life I'm collecting." Thus the deal was struck. The gambler called for a snake eye, and Bob rolled the die. The spectator who had gathered around the gambling table to witness this extraordinary event, it is told, served as Bob's pallbearers, although not many their tears were shed. So it's literally going through word for word how you should present this trick.
What you should say, at least. Kind of giving you
Yeah.
the script in a ways.
Now, I've taken this, and here's basically what I say to the trick. You're back in the Wild West days. Who ever heard of the name Badlands Bob? See, Badlands Bob was a gambler back in the Old West, and he's not a very good one. And so everybody knew it. He had a reputation for being a lousy gambler. And one day he walks into this one saloon and he bets the bartender. He says, "Hey, I'll bet you I can roll this die and roll a 1 for $1,000. Well, the bartender knew he didn't have any money. So he said, "What do I get if you don't roll a 1? And he said, "I will bet my life." Well, sadly, that day, Badlands Bob perished because he rolled a 6. And as the legend goes, the die was encased in this wooden box and will forever remain a 6. So now take this box, try to change the number. You can't change it, can't change it. Now, if you were Badlands Bob, what number would you roll? So I kind of took the story of the Old West and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling it in my style.
Yeah, you're putting your own swing to it. Because, I mean, there's a couple of different ways to present that one.
Right.
You know, there's actually even a couple of different ways of doing that one.
Right.
Some of them more difficult than the other ways, but because it could be a straight gambling routine, it could be a story like you like to do, or it could be a sense of mind reading. You know, there's a number of different ways to go and do that one, but it's they give you everything right there for you. Now that's an example of how things are or used to be, if you were to put it down.
What's that?
Is that an example of like how things are or used to be for you? What you just read off. He's on the computer. He's wasting his life away on the computer.
I am.
This is exactly what he told me not to do when I was a teenager. I get yelled at for it all the time by both my parents, and they'd say, "You're going to go. Your brain's going to rot. You're never going to have a life. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to amount to anything if you keep doing this, just wasting away on the video games and on the computer." And what do I catch both my parents doing now that I'm an adult?
I got somebody who wanted to jump online, which I was going to send the link, but he's sounding far too desperate. Like, "Come on, send me the link. Send me the link. Come on, send me the link."
Oh,
and I'm like, "No, okay."
Do I know him?
No, it's KUN Saad.
Okay.
Saad Kun. I don't know, but it sounded way too desperate.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, we're gonna let you on, and then you're gonna just be obnoxious, and so
very nice.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna
call him out.
I'm not gonna fall for that one. Anyway, yeah, and it's the thing that a lot of magicians who are just kind of novice and they're just wanting to do some magic, and maybe performing professionally isn't their plan, or they're going to buy an effect and they're going to probably learn it the way the effect was meant to be performed, and they're going to perform it the way they were said to perform it. But then you're going to get these professionals who are going to invest the time and take it that one step further.
I would hope so.
And then you're going to get the people who are kind of in that middle realm of they want to perform, they don't have what it takes to perform full time, or they don't have the ability to perform full time, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And they might take some of the work off of somebody else's back.
Yeah, I've heard of that more frequently, of these guys who are trying to be pro and they're riding on the curtails of somebody else who's put in the work,
Yeah.
so to speak. Now, I mean,
And I think it's true in any industry.
yeah, it can very well be. Now, I mean, I know there's things that we've talked about, especially with tricks like the Badlands Bob, or actually BSP, the one that we made with Sharpo.
Yes.
He has some very repeatable lines in there.
Yes.
They're jokes and whatnot, but they're all very repeatable things that, you know, you're almost compelled to say the jokes because they're funny, they're good. You know, it's like, why go and change it if it's almost written into there?
Right.
And it's like
when
one of
he
those
puts the
dad
marker up to his forehead, he's like, I'm going to, mentally open up my third eye. And I left the cap on, didn't I?
yeah, I mean, again, it's like those jokes. Like, that's what I found in my parents' room. What's what my mom told me when I found these, and it's our check everything. It's like, oh, not everything. It's like those jokes could be said by anybody.
Yeah.
They're very repeatable jokes. But I do agree with that whole, hey, if you bought it, then you're kind of given rights to say use it.
Well, and
if you don't buy it,
I
that's
would-
where I'm kind of like, hey, this is somebody's. It's like going and stealing the nerd's essay from school and saying, hey, here's my essay. You know,
yeah, I would
that's
take it
not
one
cool.
step further though. If you bought the trick and it actually comes with the written pattern
Yeah,
saying, here's how you present it.
Yeah.
Then it's an open ball field.
Yeah.
You know, you it's basically anyone's game.
you open the door for that.
Yeah. But if you make the effect and maybe you give them a way of presenting it that's different from the way you actually present it on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have given you permission to present my trick, and this is the way that I'm releasing the permission to present it. And then all of a sudden you come to one of my shows and you see that effect and you go, oh, that's not the same way that he writes it in his documentation.
Yeah,
I like that. I'm going to do it that way too. Then it's a different story.
because in that sense, you weren't given permission to do it that way.
No, you bought the rights, but you bought the rights to this.
You know, if you're given permission, you know, by all means, but
Right.
you know, I guess, like I said when it's at the beginning, you know, there's no real policing of morality with all of this stuff going around. It's like that with actually, I think comedy is a little more, you're more policed in comedy than you are in any other
I don't
field.
even know. I've heard that there's a lot of pirating going on in comedy.
Yeah. But
Um,
I feel like you owe it to yourself and to the craft to go and police yourself with all these things and do things that are just and right.
Right.
You know, do your due diligence, put in the work, put in the time. And if you really like it, if you really want to do it that way, you know, reach out, ask permission,
Exactly.
see if it's okay with the other person, because you know, nobody wants to have their science project stolen from them.
Okay. That's a way of looking at it.
You know, you go to a science fair in the schools, and you have one kid who does all the work and has all the stuff, and then they put together their science fair, and then you go and look around at the guy next to him. It's the same thing. It's like,
Right.
oh, hold on, somebody's copying off of who?
Right.
Now there's more repercussions for doing something like that.
Now the guy
You're
who
going to
copied
school.
is the guy who's claiming originality,
Yeah,
and the poor guy who created it is like, but.
exactly. Now, again, there's more repercussions for doing that in school, but that's
Right.
where the policing comes into play.
So do we have a deck?
We do.
All right, here we go.
There is an outbreak among us. It is limited to only a small portion of our population. They have a sickness. They have an addiction. They collect bicycle playing cards, which is bad for them, but great for us because we have almost 500 decks of playing cards to choose from. They'll go crazy in here. They'll spend every last penny they... This is their story. This is Playing Cards Anonymous.
It keeps doing that.
That was a really rough cut. It's like, you're done.
Yeah. Get on with it. All right. So I have a deck of cards with me today, and I'd like to start this out. I know I'm a day late, but happy Beltane, everybody.
Happy Beltane.
Beltane, yes.
What's Beltane?
May Day.
May Day?
May 1st.
Okay.
That's what Beltane is.
Why?
Because it is the start of the summer season.
It is?
According to Celtic tradition,
Okay.
that is what the holiday of Beltane is. It is the start of the summer season.
Okay.
It's not it's not in the middle of summer, which is what summer solstice is, but you are kicking off the season of summer with this day, and they say it's on May 1st because that's what Beltane means. Actually, this is a deck of cards that's from the Wheel of the Year. We have the whole series of that, and I wanted to go and bring all of them in on their particular days. This one,
You mean each card has its own year?
each
Or
deck has its
day?
own holiday, own thing that is in relation to Celtic holidays and Celtic lore.
Okay.
I've done, I think, 3 so far. This is the 3rd.
Okay.
As we did one for Easter, we did one for the winter seasoning, or at least actually it was the one that started off spring, and then we had one for Easter, and now we have one to start summer. And this is what it looks like right here.
So if you're online, you can see it.
Yeah. Actually, this one's
Can I see it back?
yeah. These ones are much like the other ones. They all have different designs that use the Celtic knotwork and whatnot.
Yeah, it's kind of summery.
Yeah.
It's got like a green with little birds and flowers and
Actually, all of them are illustrated a little differently. They have different characters that
it's
are
a
part.
thinner stock.
It is kind of crushed. It kind of feels crushed.
It's like a linen, but like a crushed linen, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a linen because you can feel it in the paper.
Yeah.
But it's got a thin feel to it.
And the nice thing about it is every single ace is a big ace, kind of like the Phoenix deck. How they all have. It's not small aces for the hearts, the clubs, and the diamonds.
Uh-huh.
And the ace of spades is the one big one. All of them are an enlarged ace,
Okay.
which is nice. And the other nice thing is that each deck is a different design because they're all from the same family, but they all have different illustrations on them, which match a.
So just the face cards are illustrated.
Yes, and these ones are too. Kind of have little fun things about them. Some of them have extra little characters and whatnot inside the different cards. I don't know if they have any rhyme or reason to it, but they are hidden inside. Some of them don't have it. Some of them do. And each of the individual pips are also illustrated a particular way.
Oh, nice.
With the nice knotwork and whatnot. Now, like I said, all the other characters on here are different for each different deck too, because it is matching the holiday. This one, it says, actually it tells you here. This one, it goes and tells you a little backstory as to what the cards are and what the holiday is and what they're doing. It actually tells you a celebration of it's Beltane is a celebration of fertility and the life force presented within the earth. Beltane is a primary Celtic festival taking place around May 1st. It is the peak of spring and look forward to the arrival of summer. So basically, it's, moving forward, we are going into the summer season.
The face cards are kind of like godlike type.
Kinda. It's actually what it's saying is here that the characters presented in this deck are primarily from the Great Celtic Love stories, while the others drawn both Anglo-Saxon and Celtic folklore, capturing the spirit of the festival. So these festivals and these stories behind the festivals, they are kind of like what you would expect in. You've heard of the Greek gods and the Roman gods and such, and how they have this big old pantheon and stories revolving around it. Same type of thing, but the gods themselves are intermingled in different tales and folk tales and love stories, and that's what they're trying to depict with the characters in this deck of cards.
Okay.
So, and also gives you information as
they have a nice feel.
Yes, they do. Actually, I like these cards. I'm assuming I'm going to like the feel of all of the decks because they're comes from the same family, but they have a very usable stock and a very usable feel to them. They're not too slippery. They're not too stiff. They don't feel cheap at all. They kind of feel like you're just opening up a bike and you're playing around with.
They actually feel a little thinner than a bike, though.
A little bit, like a gold seal.
Yeah,
because the gold seal's got that crushed feel.
Does it?
I did.
Okay.
I don't know how they feel now.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the controversy behind that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. This one is $17. And that'll be the same for all of them.
And you can get it at your friendly White Rabbit Magic Shop store.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
All right. So next week we will give you an update on algorithm. Let you know what we think and how we feel about it. And we'll also
good because it looks good.
Maybe go into that whole debate on demos. We'll put up a few different demos, see which ones grab people and what they like about it, what they don't like about it.
And could make that what do you call that? Not a survey, but a
survey.
Survey, yeah, like that. But it's for our online community.
Yeah. So, and Saad Kun, sorry for banning you in the comments, but you were being way too needy. So if you really were a magician, wanted to join in, just ask once.
Yeah.
So
that and contact us beforehand. Actually, that'd be even better because then we can plan for you.
I will tell you I've been debating on whether or not to put the link up on social media if people want to join into the room. So that if we're having a discussion about something and they wanted to jump in, they could log into the green room, and then I could accept them into the StreamYard or not, which I can also ban them and block them if I wanted to.
Maybe for certain topics.
It might open up a can of worms. No, but it might open a can of worms because we might get scary people that jump on, but I can kick them off just as fast as we let them in.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, maybe certain topics, not all of them, but
anyways, all right. This is Magic Talk. We will see you all when?
Next week.
Next week. That's right. Because that's the way we roll.
The art of... You know those magic shops you see in malls? The ones with all the novelty items and those cheesy rotating retail trees? You know what those novelty items are. They're fake dog poop and whoopee cushions. You didn't go to the magic shop to find plastic ice with toy flies in it, did you? Of course not. You went to the magic shop to find magic. And that's exactly what you'll find at the White Rabbit Magic Shop in Ventura. The White Rabbit Magic Shop prides itself on one of the finest selections of magic tricks in the Southern California area. Want to make things vanish, float, appear out of thin air? Then the White Rabbit Magic Shop is where you want to go. You buy the trick, and they'll teach you how to do it. Plus, the White Rabbit Magic Shop features the area's biggest selection of bicycle playing cards, with over 400 decks and many rarities to choose from. It's up to you. Do you want an amazing magic trick that will fool your friends and family? Or do you want some phony plastic vomit? Seems to us that choice is an easy one. The White Rabbit Magic Shop, located at 15500 West Telegraph Road in Santa Paula. Open Tuesdays through Thursdays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, please call 805-850-3051 or visit online at whiterabbit-magic.com. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.